Well, welcome to another special edition of JMC Live. I am your host, Jeremy Caverley. We're coming to you again from, I don't know if we're a level 1 snow emergency or a level 2. I haven't seen anything yet. But we have snow and ice coming down here in Ohio. It's a nice 30 degrees, I think, or colder. And we have the wonderful Jeremy Reynalds with us today of Joy Junction. Are you there, Jeremy?
I am, from one Jeremy to another Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you doing, Jeremy?
All right. I think Jeremys are doing very well tonight. I think we both can say we're blessed and God has provided for our needs. I just wanted to let everyone know that we've had a little technical difficulty with the live stream feed because of the internet due to the snow, but this is going to be pre-recorded as well, and we'll have it posted on our YouTube, God Beats, and live stream sites later. With Jeremy's permission, I'm going to be using different various images from Joy Junction to play out the story of what Jeremy does and how the homeless are reached and how other people are met, their needs. Jeremy, I want to thank you for coming tonight, and I want to go straight into the beginning. I know you've been doing this for quite some time, and you probably shared this story in many ways, and it probably brings a lot of passion and love in your heart as you share this, and I want you to express that again as you share the beginning of how Joy Junction started.
You know what, Jeremy, thank you for the chance. Let me go back even one step before then. Really, because Joy Junction, Jeremy, is all about having a relationship with Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. We do all the, feeding and the giving folks help and blankets and food and personal care items, and a place to stay and so on. But, it sort of all really began for me, Jeremy, back in 1975, when I was like 18. My accent sort of maybe betray a little bit of where I'm from. I'm from England originally. I was out on the streets earlier today with my colleague, Kathy Sotelo, our outreach coordinator, and it was the individual said, "Where are you from, dude?" I'm like, "Texas," and he goes, "No." "Really? I'm from Texas." I said, "No, just kidding. I'm from England." And he goes, "Oh, okay." You know what, Jeremy, back in 1975, I was a young man of 18 years of age. And it was, just looking for a place to happen, really. I was expected by my mother and father. My mother's now with the Lord, I believe. To go either to London Bible College, Oxford, or Cambridge University, and didn't do that, got saved. And I was brought up, sort of raised in, like, a high Anglican church. But it was okay to do everything in moderation. A little bit of drinking was okay, a little bit of sex okay, a little bit of smoking okay, and definitely a little bit of religion okay. But don't get excited about everything, anything. In typical for the British Stoic fashion. And so, I went to this small church in Bournemouth, England, and was invited by the pastor to do something about it. And the man came to me one day, and he goes, "Would you like to do something about it?" And then, being, the minister, I went, "Do something about what?" And he goes, "Well, it." Because, I was the first visitor, Jeremy. He had had many years, he had had for many years, so many months in the church, that he didn't want to scare me off by giving me like a hard-core approach to the gospel. So I said, not knowing what I was saying yes or no to, I said, "Well, yeah, I don't know anything yet, but I'll sort of do something about it sometime." I took some examinations in January 1976, and I did well in those, and I sort of felt at the end of January that year, I thought, if I'm going to be intellectually honest, I feel at least get a Bible. I just feel this Christian stuff is all about. Because I had a form of religion. You know what, Jeremy, as you know, the Bible says a form of religion is like, a form of godliness is nothing. Mm-hmm. And so, I, for the first time in my life, Jeremy, that I read the Bible, I read the book of Luke, and I said, Lord, if you're there, speak to me. You know what, as you know, Jeremy, the Bible says that if you seek God, you will find him. Not you may, but you could, but you will. Because up until this time, I, read the Bible. Up until that time, I read the Bible with the attitude of I was like the big, intelligent guy, I was so arrogant. And, God was maybe real. But at that point, it was an afternoon. I was living in my parents' house, and it was an afternoon, and I was reading the first 6 chapters of the Gospel of Luke. The only supernatural experience, Jeremy, I've ever had of that nature. The words on that page, Jeremy, stood out like they were 6 feet high. And at that point, God gave me faith, supernatural faith, to believe His word. And then I did. And a week later, I was reading a book by a now deceased Anglican clergyman. And he said, unless you have accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord, that you've asked Him to save you, you're a sinner bound for hell. I thought, oh dear, because I had no excuse now, because I believed the Bible. So I asked Jesus Christ to come into my life and to save me. At that point, He did. Really, it's the origin, one aspect of Joy Junction. So a few months afterwards, I felt God was calling me to come to America. I came to America with $50 in my pocket and a one-way ticket back in mid-June of 1978. Met my ex-wife a few months later, and became homeless at the end. I'm sort of having to cut and paste a little bit, or cut. Became homeless at the end of 1981, basically because I wanted to do what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And so, at the end of 1981, we were told to leave a house by the landlord. I was married and it was one child. And the landlord, my ex-wife stayed with some friends here in Florida, and they said, well, when Jeremy comes to his senses, when he realizes that the great American dream is true, if you bother to work, you can come back and see us. Until then, we'll take care of you and the kids, but he's on his own. Mm-hmm. But, Jeremy, this is in my book also, Homeless in the City. I still remember very clearly some nights. We had stayed with some friends before then, but I still remember very clearly some nights in mid-January 1982. I was a day or two, I was out on the streets. I slept in a corrugated iron shed, so a corrugated metal shed behind a restaurant on the New Mexico-Texas border. At that point, I had no idea what New Mexico was. And I could have said, I thought, New Mexico, what the heck is that? Well, where is it? Is it in the United States? And I ended up coming to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I spent 4 years at a ministry called His Place Coffee House, which is covered in my book, Homeless in the City. And I resigned that after 4 years. Made the mistake, Jonathan, of telling the Lord, never tell the Lord what you want to do, because He has a sense of humor, and it sometimes sort of boomerangs back on you, Mm-hmm. So I said, Lord, I would do anything you like after being for 4 years in Santa Fe. I said, I would do anything you like except start another homeless ministry. Well, guess what, Jeremy? So almost 24 years later, but back in 86, the Lord convinced me through showing me various scriptures, through relationships with friends and so on. His calling on my life was still there to minister to the homeless, and He persuaded me to start Joy Junction as a ministry that would keep the entire family together at one of the worst points in time in their entire lives. Because mission shelters typically would separate the family. They would take you and your older kids or boy kids, put you in one place, and they would take your wife, and they would put her and the girls or the younger kids in another place. The vision that God gave me, which is still in effect and we have expanded on, is to keep the whole family together. And that's what we do at Joy Junction. We're running basically, Jeremy, 300, as many as 300 people each and every night. And because, even though many people think of us as an agency, we are a church. We're recognized by the Internal Revenue Service as such. We get no federal, state, county, city monies. And our life recovery program is based upon the Tyndale House Life Recovery Bible, which is like a Jesus-ized version of AA. So that's like a really condensed version of how Joy Junction came into being. 6 or 7 years ago, Jeremy, we had about 150 people in night staying at Joy Junction. And in the last 5, 6, 7 years, now we've expanded to almost 300, sometimes over 300 people a night.
Okay, Jeremy, we're going to take a quick break.
Sometimes more than 10,000 meals a month.
We're going to take a break, Jeremy. We'll be right back.